Hello and welcome back to part 3 of this educational video series that can help you understand the underlying causes of fatigue-related illnesses. This third video will cover tests for adrenocortex stress hormone function, the MTHFR genes, and an amino acid profile. The adrenocortex stress profile test measures how well your adrenal glands are working, because your adrenal glands help you manage stress. Cortisol is one of your major stress hormones, and this test shows what level of stress or what stage of stress someone is currently in. This test measures two hormones that are really important to help you manage stress. They are cortisol and DHEA. So when you have a look at this first result, you can see that the ideal level will be in the green zone. And cortisol needs to start off moderately high in the morning so that you can leap out of bed enthusiastically and get started. And then it progressively drops during the day and will be quite low at night time when your levels of melatonin go up in anticipation of having a good night's sleep. So with this particular lady, her cortisol level is very high on waking. So she's really starting her day in an acute stressed pattern. Here's another result of someone else whose stress levels are also in the acute or alarm stage. So what you can see is that the first cortisol test, taken at 8 in the morning, is within the green normal range. But by lunchtime and certainly later in the afternoon, the cortisol level is very high. So this is consistent with stress, and it might be that there are challenges at work or family, or perhaps she's drinking lots of coffee. In this chart, you can see a different sort of pattern. So the numbers are starting off in the normal part of the range, although they're halfway down. So the levels are relatively low, and certainly as the day proceeds, the levels get lower and lower. And this is an example of a person who's dealing with chronic stress. This is also called the resistant stage of stress. This is a chart of someone who wakes up in the morning exhausted and remains exhausted for the rest of the day, and it is classical of adrenal fatigue or burnout. The MTHFR gene test is the fourth test in my list of the top 5 functional medicine tests. These genes are involved in methylation, a key biochemical process that occurs more than 1 billion times per second. Methylation is essential for production of ATP for energy, neurotransmitters, in other words, brain chemistry, hormones, detoxification, and gene expression. This next test, number 4 on my list of the top 5 functional medicine tests, was prompted by an article in the Adelaide Advertiser earlier this year, and the headline was "How a Vitamin Cured My Anxiety, a Lisa Black Story of a Lifelong Struggle and New Hope for the Future." And this is to do with the MTHFR gene test. And she goes on to say that, quote, "I have a genetic mutation on one of my genes, one with the acronym MTHFR. The result is that my body has trouble processing B group vitamins. I am far from being alone. The genetic mutation also affects close to 1 in 5 people and could be responsible for everything from mood disorder or multiple miscarriages to strokes, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and many other illnesses." The two most researched gene mutations relevant to methylation are the MTHFR C677T and the MTHFR A1298C mutation. People inherit genes from both parents, so if you have two copies of a mutated gene, you're considered to be homozygous. This means that both copies of the altered gene have been inherited from your parents. If you're heterozygous for a mutation, this means that you have a single normal gene from one parent and a mutated copy of the gene from the other parent. Generally, with genetic conditions, homozygous mutations are more serious because you have two mutated copies of the gene. So whatever that gene does, then the results are going to be less effective. On top of the genetic aspect, environmental factors then add to the problem. Heavy metals such as mercury, leaky gut, bacterial overgrowth and infections, stress, lack of sleep, not exercising, or eating a poor diet further stress your methylation capacity. So test number 5, the fifth test, is a 12-hour urine amino acid profile test. What I find with most patients is that when they have a low level of healthy minerals, the calcium, magnesium, zinc, selenium, on a hair test, they're often low in other items, in particular protein, vitamins, and good fats. So the amino acid profile is a really valuable test for determining which amino acids are low and which ones require specific supplementation. The urine sample can be collected for either 12 or 24 hours to measure levels of your amino acids. In practice, most people find it more convenient to collect the sample for 12 hours overnight, rather than the full 24 hours. Here is the amino acid profile of a very tired lady. What you can see is that there are lots of numbers in red, and even for the numbers which are in the normal range, they're generally right down the bottom of the range. And this is classical of a malabsorption pattern of someone who is not able to absorb their vitamins, minerals, proteins, good fats. This lady's hair test definitely showed that most of her healthy minerals were very low, so it's not surprising that her amino acid result confirms this. Amino acids are vital for your health. You need them to make muscles, cartilage and ligaments, immune proteins, enzymes, hormones, genes, DNA. Each amino acid has one or more specific functions. So for example, leucine, isoleucine and valine are known as branched chain amino acids. And any of you who know bodybuilders will certainly have heard about them because they use them to help build up strong, healthy muscles. Glutathione, your most important antioxidant, needs cysteine, glutamine and glycine, as well as adequate levels of selenium. Tyrosine is really important for thyroid hormones and also your adrenal hormones. Tryptophan is vital for the manufacture of serotonin. And of interest, right down the bottom of the chart, 1-methylhistidine was fairly high. And this is an amino acid found in poultry. And yes, this lady likes eating poultry. Here is a simplified diagram showing how amino acids are building blocks for making neurotransmitters, brain chemistry. This is a simplified diagram. In addition, you definitely need the right vitamins and minerals for these pathways to work successfully. Sorting out the underlying causes of your health concerns is the first part of the treatment process. But please do not think it's just a matter of taking supplements and detoxing. To be successful, it is really important that you take appropriate action in all the areas of your life. So, diet, detoxification, emotional well-being, spinal health, and addressing sleeping issues are top of the list. Question time. When is the best time to start improving your health and energy? Well, with hindsight, the answer is probably several years ago. However, the second best time is clearly now. Thank you for watching this 3-part educational video series on the top 5 functional medicine tests that can be used to help sort out the underlying causes of fatigue-related illness. Do visit my website treatfatigue.com.au for plenty of educational articles and resources to help you boost your energy and well-being.